Panther people, what up? Thanks for clicking on Panthers post. If you're new here, like, subscribe, enter the comment community. It is a beautiful place to be. I am just around 70 or so subscribers away from getting to 1,000. Now, I know that's nothing to some vloggers. They get 1,000, 2,000 followers in just a couple of minutes. But for us, it's been a grind. You just got to keep pounding. So I need just about 70. When we get to 1,000, then I can start giving you the content that I kind of envisioned when I started this channel, is to basically stream myself and communicating with you guys as we all watch the games on TV or your laptop or whatever together. We can react together, we can talk smack together, we can praise together, all that kind of stuff. That's what I want to bring. And then after the game is done around 4 o'clock or so, chop it all up so you'll have the live broadcast you can watch in its entirety if you want. Then I'm just going to chop it up and have another video where I condense it to about 15 minutes of just mania and then depression, mainly, hopefully just mania with the Panthers. I feel like they're going to be sneaky good. And people have been talking about that in the comment community. Someone pointed out to me on Twitter, Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football, arguably the best sports show on television right now. There was an actual segment about it, but apparently it was something he just said. It was just, don't be surprised at by around the week, I think it's week 5, that we're talking about how good the Panthers are. The Panthers have just about a week under their belt of full practice. None of this wearing shells or just no padding at all. They've been in full pads, full contact, full go. We're going to get about how some players went a little bit too intense when it came to practice and hitting. Some of the players are wearing these skull caps, which is, if you played rugby, kind of like a football helmet, but literally just like a layer of padding. But they're just putting it on top of their helmet to help, sustain their brain and its functioning. But there's been some good and there's been some very, very bad and downright scary when it came to these full contact practices. And so in the next segment, we're going to talk about who is really impressing and surprising people in the first full week of fully padded practice. We get to that, some news and notes, and some, again, I mentioned before, some scary things happened during these full contact practices. Keith Kirkwood, one of the wide receivers, was actually sent to the hospital on the first day of full contact drills. If you saw the video, he was looking like he was catching a pass right down the middle. He got laid out by JT eBay, who was, in my opinion, I thought one of the guys who could be vying for a starting role in the safety position or just real good depth player, maybe a special teams guy. He was the culprit in the hit. He just freaking nailed him so bad that they had to bring out the stretcher, take him to the hospital. He seems to be doing all right, but everyone was shook up. Matt Rule was downright pissed, and I guess Scott Fitter was pissed too because eBay was out of there literally that day. Like he hit him, and it's almost like the media team put out the release and be like, he's gone, and he was gone. There are 2 ways you can lose your job in the NFL, especially during training camp. It's you get injured or you injure somebody, in eBay's case, or it's just not clicking. And whatever it is, we are now down one David Moore, not the wide receiver out of Seattle, but the undrafted free agent out of Grambling State. And that kind of bums me out. And I'm sure that bums a lot of people out because he was so great with media. He was so soft-spoken. He just seemed to have the right mindset heading into this as an undrafted free agent. Actually, a guy who a lot of people thought would be drafted. I thought Trent Scott, who also went to Grambling State, was on his side and maybe, coaching him up in the dorm rooms over at Wofford to make sure that he was up to speed each and every day. But it just is what it is. It's super upsetting. But I guess we're just not going to have that Deontay Brown, David Moore as guards on the offensive line for the Panthers this year. Maybe he cracks another team and it just works for him, or maybe they pick him back up later down the year for injuries or something like that and have him on the practice squad as insurance. But it just didn't work out this time. Hopefully David Moore finds his footing with another team or just another opportunity somewhere. And on Thursday and Friday, just a reminder, the Panthers are going to have that joint practice with the Indianapolis Colts, the Carson Wentz-less Indianapolis Colts. That's going to be super duper fun because, as we're going to be talking about later on in the show, guys like J.C. Horn, who are already balling out against his own teammates, it's going to be interesting to see how he does. The door's open. I'm trying to air this. Film this in my sunroom. It is super hot. It's like 80, 90 degrees right now here in Southern Ontario. But they do have the joint practice against the Indianapolis Colts Thursday, Friday. They then play them on the Sunday, which will actually our first full NFL action in the preseason. We already had the Hall of Fame game where the Cowboys only scored 3 points. So the world is healing itself. But the Panthers have their first actual game on Sunday at 1 p.m. It's going to be on NFL Network, and you better believe your guy got his ring light ready to stream, hopefully, if we get enough subscribers by then on YouTube. If not, I'm going to have to redirect to Twitch because I don't think there are any subscription caps or thresholds for that. Let's talk about some of the players on the Panthers roster that are surprising people or maybe disappointing people. 8th overall pick, J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Now, it is not really much of a stretch to say that the Panthers' first overall pick in this year's draft is balling out and is as advertised, but there are busts for a reason. There are guys who, I remember it was Dante Fowler, who was a high pick out of Florida for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think it was the first snap of a practice. He was doing a drill, and he tore his ACL immediately, knock on wood, by the way. But that kind of stuff happens, and then that's a year gone. And so for JC just to be healthy after the first semi-full week of full contact practice is a blessing right there. But on top of that, forget worries of being injured. I don't think he is really worried about that. He plays with a reckless abandonment coupled with skill. Maybe the Panthers' social media, and again, I'm beholden to whatever the Panthers' social media and beat reporters show us because I'm not in Wofford right now. So maybe they're just showing us the best stuff, the highlights. But I have not seen a clip, except one, and we'll talk about that later, where J.C. Horn has been beat. Dude has been on people's hips every single play. He's a large person, so trying to maneuver around him, especially if you're a little bit smaller than him, a la Shi Smith, or again, as I mentioned in the future, T.Y. Hilton, trying to get around that body and trying to make yourself, give yourself some separation, give yourself some space to catch the ball is difficult. But then when you couple that size with his abilities to just stay on you, flip the hips, and then just his speed that he's worked on, and his strength that he's worked on, and his length, something that you can't teach, I think he had a couple near picks in the end zone when they're doing some end zone drills at the 20-yard line. But he has been as advertised. And when he just walked out of that during the Fan Fest, I think it was over the weekend. He just looked like he fits. He just looks like he fits. And, he's got the helmet on. Fans know exactly who he is. And he's just got this cool, calm, and collected kind of demeanor, and that's what you need when you're running backwards for most of the game, and you have no idea what the receivers are doing, and you have to be able to control the situation real time, and it just seems like he has things under control. And I said before, I think I said it on Twitter, minimum 5 interceptions for J.C. Horn in his rookie year. I'm expecting more, but I'm going to say minimum of 5. On the offensive side, tight end Dan Arnold is not just surprising me, but it seems like surprising a lot of the reporters who are covering the Carolina Panthers after they picked him up in the free agency from the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, there's that money clip from his agent who is talking to Suleiman about trying to bump up that pay raise, give his client that big money signing.
Would you do it 2 years for $4 million?
Bro, you've got to come a little stronger than that. You've been number 2 on your team in touchdown catches last year. The Cardinals' third leading receiver. He had more yards than Larry Fitzgerald.
But I was like, okay, that sounds great. But then I look at him, I'm like, he's just not an impressive guy. Like, what is it? During the draft, they got the body beautiful thing. That's like something that, Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah always talk about. You look at him, you're not like, oh yeah, that guy is like an NFL tight end. To me, he just kind of looks like, like a pitcher. Maybe it's the mustache and the flow, but he just kind of looks like a pitcher. So I wasn't that impressed physically. Like, you look at a guy like Tommy Tremble, and you're just like, okay, that's a tight end who plays in the NFL. You look at Dan Arnold, you're like, yeah, okay. But I guess he's getting paid what he paid. Suleiman ended up paying him, listening to the agent, and at least it's practice. Now, I know we're talking about practice, but at least it's fully contact practice. And Dan Arnold has been stepping up. It seems like he's just catching everything. And again, talking about trying to get open again against someone like J.C. Horn, Dan Arnold looks like he can get open. And it looks like he's already building that chemistry with Sam Darnold, the Sam Darnold-Dan Arnold connection. For most quarterbacks, at least when they're rookies, which Sam is definitely not, their security blanket is their tight end. And so it's always nice to get a rookie with a nice tight end. So you got guys like Trey Lance in San Francisco, and he's got George Kittle. So that is an amazing security blanket. And for for Sam Darnold, while he's not a rookie, he's kind of on his second chance in the league, so he kind of is. He has 2 really good security blankets in Christian McCaffrey and Dan Arnold. I'm going to stay with the offense. I'm going to make this super quick because my phone is literally burning up. I've had to take like 10-minute breaks here and there because my phone is just heating up way too fast. It's too hot in this mudroom. I had to open the door, so if you hear cicadas, my bad. Shi Smith and Terrace Marshall are stepping up. Normally, you see rookies have a tough transition going up against NFL defensive backs, and that just doesn't seem to be the case. The Panthers actually shared a post, Terrace Marshall beating J.C. Horn in the end zone. Beautiful stuff. As Steve Smith said, he's going to have some people lose their jobs, and that's totally going to be the case. I'm really excited to see what he does against the Colts defensive backs, especially on Sunday as well. Hopefully they give him some reps. I know he's a higher draft pick, but I hope they give him some love and show people you got to be on notice for Terrace Marshall. 88 Club, let's go. Also, Shi Smith, Steve Smith, talked up Terrace Marshall, but everyone else talking about Shi Smith being Steve Smith 2.0. This guy, despite his smaller stature, which is why he's kind of comparable to Steve Smith, he just knows how to use his body so well. He knows momentum. He understands the physics. He has great footwork. And on top of that, he's been making some highlight reel catches as well. He just makes plays. That's what he does. I could see him surpassing David Moore, the wide receiver, who is still on the team, as like a third down type go-to guy to just try to move the chains. He's so sure-handed, and he knows his body. He knows his whereabouts on the field as well. I could see Shi Smith making a real impact. I hope he gets some first-team reps in the preseason game against the Colts. I'm excited for both these guys. And heck, if you're talking about jersey purchases, 1288, those numbers, just so pretty. On the defensive side, Brian Burns has taken that next step. He has taken that next step to be a Pro Bowler this year. I am 100% sure it's going to happen. He talked about just a couple days ago, him and Hassan Reddick have a bet on who's going to have the most sacks. I think most people are going to double team Brian Burns as best as they can. So Hassan might edge him as just like a formality, but the clips that I'm seeing out of Brian Burns, not just the ones of him dancing, but just the speed that this guy has. I don't know how many left or right tackles or poor guards are built to deal with that kind of speed and length. And so you got guys like Aaron Donald, who are super fast, super strong, but like short and stocky. But then you got guys like Brian Burns, who's super strong, super fast, and dang, he is super long. And I know he's a Spider-Man guy, but lately, with those arms, he's more like Venom, who could just extend his arm and bring somebody down just from the shoulder patch. Just grab it. He just needs like one or two fingers and they're down. So Brian Burns really impressing me so far from these drills. And again, super excited to see what he does against these practices with the Colts. Probably not going to play in the preseason much. So just from what I'm seeing now, guys ready to ball out during the regular season. Staying with the defense, someone who hasn't really just disappointed me. He just hasn't done enough, so you can say anything because he's been hurt, and that's Shaq Thompson. Him and Denzel Perriman. So the linebacker core, they got to start bringing in. I know they are signing some other bodies out there to kind of just fill the void in the linebacker room. But Denzel Perriman, who already had injury issues heading into this season after the Panthers picked him up for the Los Angeles Chargers. So I just hope he stays healthy, stays hydrated. He's definitely staying warm. There's that clip again of Brian Burns dancing, and the guy watching him is Denzel Perriman in the middle of the summer in North Carolina with a beanie on. I do not want to smell that beanie after that. All right, so that's it for this very quick episode on who's impressing, who is surprising, who is disappointing, who could be needing a pep talk, could have a pep talk sesh in the next couple of episodes in this full week of padded practice. As I mentioned 1,000 times already in this episode, really excited to see what they do against competition from another team. Hopefully guys like Denzel Perriman and Shaq get healthy. Shaq could take the veteran reps anyways, so he knows what he's doing, so I'm not too worried about him. I just want to see Denzel get healthy. Those are my observations so far through the observations of the media that are there, and also just what I'm seeing out in whatever videos that I can, source out how the Panthers are doing. But yes, very excited to see what they're doing against the Colts Thursday, Friday, and then the preseason game on Sunday. So again, I'm at like 936 subscribers. Heck, if we get to 1,000, I'd love to stream that watch party live. That'd be so much fun. Worst case scenario, I'm going to film myself watching it. I'm going to give you my reactions to that. So again, if you're new here, like, subscribe, comment, spread the word. And if you have subscribed, I appreciate all you guys. I will read through the list of some of the people in the comment community because you guys are contributing to this content. And you guys help me stay honest, and you keep me motivated to keep going and keep pounding and actually comment on some football because we haven't done that since we started. So again, appreciate you guys. See you next week. We're going to recap that preseason game on the Monday. Oh, yeah, let's go. See you guys soon.